Hello everyone, this is Jennifer from Jennifer Biedermann Jewelry. Welcome back to another video. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to be making a pair of earrings. I'm basically going to make the other earring to go with this earring. I got in a bunch of supplies. I ordered some new colors, some Superduo, some crystals, and this is what I came up with. So this is what we're going to make today. Now, the materials you're going to need for this tutorial is you're going to need some 4mm bicones. You can use 3mm if that's what you have. I'm using some Superduos. I'm using a size 11 gold seed bead, and I'm using some 15 gold seed beads over here. You will need 2 ear wires, one for each earring. You will need 2 jump rings, one for each earring, and you're also going to need a size 8 seed bead, well, 2, one for each earring. Oh, something else I forgot to mention, I didn't bring out. You're going to need this 4mm pearl. This is just it's a check glass pearl that I purchased, but you can use anything you want. I used the round 4mm. Okay, so get your materials together. Oh, of course, you're going to need a beading needle, and you're going to need some thread. I didn't measure the thread. I always put on a long piece, and then if I have leftover, then I'm just going to use it for the other earring. You're not going to need a lot of thread for this. Now, for the jump rings, get yourself a pair of pliers. I have 2 pair of pliers just to open and close your jump rings. And that's it. And get your materials together and we're going to get started. Okay, so to start, what I've done was I picked up a series of 11s and Superduos, 8. So you're going to pick up an 11, a Superduo, an 11, a Superduo until you have 8 of each on your thread. You're going to bring it all the way down, leaving yourself a short tail because we'll be cutting it off right away. And I'm just going to sew back through these beads to create a circle. And if you can make it through all of them, fantastic, which I can't believe I just did. Okay, now I'm hanging on to my tail here, and I'm just going to pull this into a circle. And what I'm going to do is just do a few good knots, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut my tail, because it's going to drive me crazy. So 1, 2, and I'll do a 3rd. I'm not worried about my knot here because I'm not going through these beads again. Now, before I cut my tail, what I'm going to do is just sew away from this knot. And when I pull, just a little tug, what that did was it just pulled my knot into a bead. So I'm going to take my scissors and cut this tail right away. Okay, now that I have my little circle, I'm coming out of a Superduo, bottom Superduo. I'm going to sew back up through the top hole. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up an 11, a Superduo, an 11, and I'm going to sew up through the top hole to the next Superduo. So you have that. Next one, I'm just going to pick up a Superduo alone, and I will sew up through the next Superduo, and I'm going to alternate this all the way around. So an 11, Superduo, an 11, through the next top hole, and that's going to make a little star here. Pick up a Superduo, sew through the next one, an 11, Superduo, an 11, and a Superduo through the next hole, and then the last one will be just one Superduo. And then what I'm going to do here, because it's loosey-goosey and flippy-floppy, I'm going to sew back through all these beads so that they're nice and sturdy. And once I've gone around all my beads, I'm going to exit a Superduo that doesn't have the 11s next to them. Okay, so just a single Superduo that I added, which will be right here. Okay, now I'm going to flip my work because I like working counterclockwise. So now you have this. I'm going to sew up through this Superduo. And now what I want to do is I want to create this dome piece here. So what I'll do is I'll pick up an 11, a 4mm bicone crystal, an 11, and I'm going to skip this Superduo right here, and I'm going to sew up through the next one. So I'm only going to be attaching the Superduos that I don't have the 11s next to, just like that. And I'll do that all the way around. Skipping this one, going into the next. An 11, 4mm, an 11. Skipping this one, going into the next. Last one, 11, bicone, 11, and then sew through that one, the first one that I came out of. Now this is going to be really loose. You really do need to reinforce and go around, I would say 2 times, just to make sure it's nice and tight. And I'm going to do that. And I have to pull out my 4mm glass pearl to add in the middle. So I'm going to reinforce this and I'll be right back. Reinforced, and I'm exiting a Superduo on the top here. And actually, by the way, this is not a 4mm glass pearl. It's a 6mm. Sorry about that. 4mm would be way too small. You can even go up to an 8 in here. Now, I'm coming out of the Superduo, exiting here. I'm going to pick up 111, my 6mm round. 111. I'm coming out, my thread is coming out this way, so therefore I'm going to go in the opposite Superduo, going in the same direction, diagonally. And that's going to make sure that it sits right in the middle, just like that. Now, if I were to leave it like this, eventually this is going to sit down and it's not going to want to sit up. So to make it sit up, I'm going to work my way to this Superduo right here. So I am going to go through a few beads to get myself there. And I'm going to exit this Superduo. Okay, now to help create a little bridge so that this helps stick up, I'm going to pick up 5 15s. 5 15s. I'm coming out of this Superduo here, and I'm going to sew through just the round pearl here. And I'm going to pull tight. I'm going to pick up 5 15s. 5 15s. I'm coming out of the pearl and I'm going to sew through the Superduo. And a few beads. So I'm sewing through the Superduo. I'm going to pull tight and then I want to go over to the opposite side. Pull, See what that does? Okay, now I'm going to sew my way over to the opposite side Superduo and do the same thing. Mirror image. And you just want to exit the Superduo and not the 11. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So 5 15s. Coming out of the Superduo, sewing through the round pearl. Five 15s, and sew through the Superduo. And you can go through the 11 there if you want, because we have to work our way. Now if it goes on the side here, you just want to help it sit up and pull tight. So now you have that. So now the next thing, we want to work our way down following your thread path, and we're going to exit a top Superduo here. So I'm going to go down here. Through that Superduo, I'm going to sew down through the hole here, and that's going to bring me over to this Superduo here. Now here I am going to flip my work. So this is the bottom side, and I'm going to sew up through this Superduo here. Now I'm going to pick up 115, a 4mm bicone, and a 15. And I'm going to sew through this, whoops, out of camera. And I'm going to sew through this Superduo right here, right next to it, the bottom one. And I'm going to do that all the way around. So a 15, bicone, 15, coming out of this bottom Superduo, sewing up through the top of this hole. Bicone, 15, through the next Superduo, sitting down there, pull tight, 15, bicone, 15, up through the top Superduo. This is a really fast project, actually. And you can make all kinds of these components and actually make a bracelet if you wanted to, or a necklace, and even a ring. Actually, I may just do that in another video. Okay, and I'm going to continue. And the last one. And up through this Superduo. Now, the last little round steps here. Now what you're going to do is you're going to move your needle until you're exiting the 15. So I'm going, whoops, I'm coming out of the 15. I'm going to go through the bicone and the 15. And here, Actually, let me just double check what I did here. I used 11s. Okay, so now I'm going to pick up 3 11s, and I'm going to create a little picot here. I'm going to go through this 15. They're hard to see, but you're going to go through the 15, the bicone, and the 15. Pull, help them sit there so you create a little picot there. And we're going to do that on each corner and each middle part here. So 3 11s. I'm coming out of this 15, I'm going through the next 15, the bicone, and the 15. Now, if it gets a little tight like it's getting for me now, that's where your great pliers come in here. So you're just going to pull gently and pull. So 3 11s. Coming out of this 15, I'm going to go through that next little 15, the bicone, and the 15. Three 11s, out of the 15, into the next 15, bicone, 15. Bicone 15, the 11, the bicone 15, almost done. Okay, and the last picot here. Make sure they're nice and tight, eh? You need to pay attention to your tension. Okay. Now what you're going to decide to do, now we're done this. Now let's look at the piece. You want to decide how you want this to hang, okay? Now, if I were to hang it this way, it's going to be a little off because we have this happening here. I hung it this way, but you can definitely hang it here as well. So you just decide where you want it to hang, to where you want your ear wire to go. So what I need to do is I'm going to come out the top of this picot because I want it to be the same. So I'm going to sew through that 11 and then the top 11. Now here, this is where my 8 comes in. I'm going to pick up an 11, an 8, and an 11. And I'm coming out of this 11 here. I'm just going to sew right back through to create a little circle here, a right angle weave. And I'm going to sew through this a few times to really reinforce this. So very important, can't stress it enough, you need to reinforce where you're putting your ear wires or your clasps or whatever, because you don't want the person you're making this for or for you to lose your earring. Okay, now it's getting tight. So I think that was the last pass for me. Take my pliers, pull that out. And what I'll do is I'm just going to fish this down through these beads here. Now you can decide to make knots if you want, but because I went through this so many times, it's gonna knot or not, that's funny. If you make a knot or you don't make a knot, doesn't really matter because it's secure. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my thread. If you have any threads sticking out, you can always use a thread zapper, or if you have a lighter or something, just burn down your thread. So here's our unit. Now I'm going to take my jump ring, take my pliers, find that end there, open my jump ring, place my jump ring on this 8mm, sorry, not 8mm, 8/0C bead. You can also use a 6/0C bead if you want, just whatever bead that you can put your jump ring on. This is I think it's a 16 gauge or an 18 gauge jump ring. Now I'm putting my ear wire, paying attention how it's hanging. This is the front. I'm going to put my ear wire on there and close up my jump ring, and I'm done. So you can really make a lot of these. It didn't take a long time to make, and they make great gifts, and it's a lot of fun to make. So here you go. Here's your pair of earrings. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will, well, first of all, I want to let you know I have a Facebook page, a closed Facebook page for avid beaders, beginner beaders, just a place where we can share our work and make some friends, some other people who are actually interested in making jewelry and talking about the process of making these beaded pieces. I created this community because, listen, I have friends who are not interested in how I make jewelry. They think it's lovely and beautiful, but when they say, wow, what a nice piece, then I start going into how I made it and the time and the designing process, and then their eyes start glazing over. So that's why I created that community, so we can talk and share and make some friends with some other jewelry makers. So if you like, you can also follow me on Facebook at Jennifer Biedermann Jewelry. You can come see my tutorials on my Etsy shop, which is called Biedermann Jewelry. And I also have my own website called jenniferbiedermannjewelry.com. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next video. Have a great day.